Boom, bop. I still don't know if it's bop or pop. Pow. I don't even know where that comes from.
Boom, pop, pow.
Welcome to a new segment of the Point Taken podcast. We call this Bible Contradictions Refuted with Brandon Workman and Josiah Ship.
Here we are.
And Brandon and I have been talking about this for some time. And the whole idea is to take alleged contradictions from the Bible that may trouble some believers or even some skeptics and show how, in fact, it is not a contradiction but a misunderstanding that can be relatively easily fixed with a little bit of context.
A little bit of context and a little bit of studying, a little bit of work on some people's effort. I'm pretty excited about today's little episode. I'm going to be honest, this confused me for a long time, although I knew that there had to be something wrong with it, with my understanding of it, you know?
Yep.
And I never sought it out, but I'm glad that we chose this topic. We're going to be talking about faith versus works and the contradiction that is it faith that saves you or is it works that save you? And we're gonna see. But before we get into this episode, we want to encourage everybody to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any episodes, because we're going to be talking about a lot of contradictions and we can save you the trouble of the work. So hit that subscribe button and
perfect.
Don't miss an episode.
Paul Blart Mall Cop, because that was a segue.
Yeah. There we go. If you are a fan of the Point Taken podcast and you're coming over, so we really appreciate that support. Thank you very much. And we're gonna talk about faith versus works.
All right. So we're in James 2. Brandon, explain the alleged contradiction.
All right. So the two verses that we're going to focus on today are going to be Romans 3:20 and James 2:14. So Romans 3:20, as I have it written down here on my little handout, says, "For no one will be justified in his sight by the works of the law, because the knowledge of sin comes through the law." And James 2:14 says, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him?" And it goes on to say, you see that a person, this is verse 24, you see that person is justified by works and not by faith alone. Right. So is it works or is it faith?
Right.
What's your opinion?
So, the idea here, and what we're really getting at, is James and Paul are not in contradiction, even though it sounds off the cuff. If you just took those two verses off the cuff right there, Paul just said you're not saved by works. James just said you're not saved by faith alone, but with works. So off the cuff, that does sound like a contradiction until you really understand what they're getting at.
So when I first looked up these two verses and I got into the Word, I'm in Holman Christian Standard, by the way, and I got in and I started looking at it. The first thing that jumped out at me, just because of the little bit of conversion that I've had going on in my life since I became a Christian, was the massive difference in context between the two verses and the two books of the Bible.
And if you are, I apologize, Brandon, if you're new to studying the Bible, that word he just used, let me explain. All of us know what context is. If you have ever walked into a conversation, someone said something that caught you off guard because you missed the first part of the conversation. If you ever skipped a couple text messages and just read on down, you realize, if I had not read this before, I would have taken that the wrong way.
Right.
What Brandon's saying is, when you're reading the Bible, remember, these are letters or biographies. They're in a context. So context matters.
Absolutely, context matters. You can't take one verse from one thing, match it up to another verse from a totally different area of the Bible, and then say, well, this is an apparent contradiction. And people do that all the time for the purpose of slipping up Christians that may not know their Bible as well as others, for the purpose of, showing themselves to be better than somebody that they are trying to put down, or for whatever reason. And it just takes a little bit of studying and knowing your Bible to, be able to refute these contradictions. And that's what we're here to do today. So, in James 2:14, what is it? What is it? No. What? Yeah.
What good is it?
Golly. I got it right here. Let me just read it. 2:14. What good is it, my brothers, if someone says that he has faith but does not have works? Can his faith save him? So how can you have faith and works, or faith without works?
And I think the main point of what James is saying is if you just listen closely, he says, what good is it, my brothers, if someone says
Right.
he has faith, but does not have works? Can that kind of faith save him? In other words, if it's only a faith of your mouth and there's no action to back it up, how can you actually test that it's genuine
Right.
trust?
Where's your fruit?
Where's the fruit? And this analogy is probably one of the most common analogies in the Bible. You can call it an apple tree all day long, but if it's producing oranges, it's not an apple tree.
I remember a lot of times the thing that I struggled with was we would read passages in the Bible and it would talk about, justified by your faith, or we read passages in the Bible that talked about how you had to have works, and I always was confused about that. It's not faith or works. It's faith with works. And it's not even one or the other. It's the same, right? So so I have written down here, let me just write this out. Another word that could be used for faith is trust.
Yeah.
When you put your trust in something or someone, you have to put that trust into action. Action takes work. Otherwise, there is no trust.
I think it's the same way of saying this. If we just take the same concept and just apply it with the word love. Okay. Does me doing something kind for my wife make me love her? No. Those works, actions is probably a better word, as Brandon said.
Yeah, I like actions. I like that word better.
Do those actions make me love her? No. They show that I really do.
Exactly right.
If I only said I loved her and never produced any action that showed that, then I don't love her.
Yeah.
Well, that's the exact same thing James is saying. If someone says they have faith and there's no action to back it up, they don't. We're not saying those works, those actions made someone have faith. Just like those actions didn't make me love my wife. They just show I really do.
Right. People lie with their mouths.
Yes.
Don't show me with your mouth. Right? Like, don't tell me with your mouth. Show me with your actions that you love me.
People lie. That was excellent. That was gold, dude. People lie with their mouths.
So, the whole point of saved by faith or saved by works is ridiculous anyway. Because
tell us why, Brandon.
We're not saved by our faith. We can't even produce faith on our own. The Lord has to give it to us.
Say that again for everyone to hear.
All right. I got it written down right here. The whole point of saved by faith or saved by works is ridiculous anyway. We are not saved by our faith. We cannot even produce our own faith. The Lord has to give it to us. Right? So Hebrews 11:6. Now without faith it is impossible to please God, for no one who draws near to him I can't read. For the one who draws near to him must first believe that he exists and rewards those who seek him. All right. Now Romans 12 verse 3 says, For by the grace given to me, I tell everyone not to think of himself more highly than he should think. Instead, think sensibly, as God has distributed a measure of faith to each one. So we aren't justified by our faith or our own faith. The Lord gives us that faith. It's not even our own faith. We aren't justified by our own faith or our works. Like I said earlier, I prefer the term actions. We are justified by the grace that God has given us, and our works is evidence seen by others and ourselves of us serving Him out in faith.
And if you misunderstood what Brandon said, you might say, well, Romans 5:1 says we are justified by faith. Brandon said we aren't. No, Brandon didn't. He said we're not justified by our own faith. Our faith, our trust in Jesus is not something that we conjured up ourselves by seeing Jesus from afar. Jesus came to us, and His grace gave us the ability to trust Him in the first place.
And it's not the thing that saves us anyway. It's the evidence of the thing that saves us, which is God's grace.
That's perfectly said. So, the reason why James and Paul, since that's who wrote Romans and Ephesians, the reason why they are not in contradiction is because Paul is saying we are saved by faith, and that faith was given to us by God. It's not our own faith. That's what grace is getting the gift you don't deserve. If you could produce faith on your own, all by yourself, perfectly in and of yourself, then it wouldn't be all of grace. He gives us that faith. James is just saying, and if it's genuine faith, it will not be just with your words. It will be in your actions.
No, people will be able to see it.
Which is why James started the book in chapter 1 by saying, be doers of the word and not hearers only in these next two words. deceiving yourself. If you are a hearer of the word, I think I said it backwards a minute ago. If you're a hearer of the word and not a doer of the word, the only person you're deceiving is yourself.
Yep.
It's the only one. So we have no contradiction here, as Brandon pointed out. All Brandon is saying is we are justified by the faith God gave us, and that necessarily produces good works.
Right. We are saved by grace through faith, and it is not of ourselves. It is God's gift, not from works, so that no man can boast. Even if we say we have faith that we conjured up ourselves, that is an attempt of us trying to save ourselves through works. But it's not that. It's God's grace. And through that grace, we have faith in Him or trust in Him. And through that trust in Him, we set aside our own desires to live a way in accordance with His Word. And that looks like works.
And I think just one more way to put it, just for a fourth analogy, if none of those work, would be this. It would be that we're not, as Brandon said, we're not saved by our own faith, but by the object of our faith, what we're putting our faith in. Just like if I tell my 7-year-old daughter, and I'm in the pool, and I say jump, and she has trust, faith, to jump, and I catch her, okay, we're not ever going to say that her faith or her trust is what caught her. We're going to say who she put her faith in is what caught her.
That's a good way to say it.
So Jesus is the object of our faith. He's what we're putting our faith in. He is the one that saved us. Our faith are the means by which we took the jump, and even that is a gift from God.
Yep, I like it. I hope that clears up this topic for some of y'all. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. I will probably not read them.
But Lowell will. That's why we hired him.
Yeah. Also, he's off camera, so you can't see him, but he's doing this toothpick thing lately.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I think it suits him. That's the nicest way that I can say it. Yeah, I think it suits him. I can see how. I think that's how he got his girlfriend. I can see that.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I could see it. Now, I found it super cool that she had to contain herself from laughter when I did the whole segue joke thing. And I bet there's someone watching this that just now, when I just said it again, understood the joke.
Yeah, I can't even remember the joke.
Yeah. I mean,
the segue where we slapped hands. Slap hands. Yeah, I remember that.
Bobby Boucher.
Yep. Slap hands.
Anyway, guys, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, you should
tell
like
us
it better because it's awesome.
Hey, if you have a contradiction that you want us to go over, put it in the comments, and then we'll take a look at it.
We've got the next 4 or 5 scheduled. Other than that, send them in, and we'll look at them.
We'll take a look at them.
Nothing is off limits.
Let us know.
Until next time, we'll come up with a better sign-off. Love you. Goodbye.